Namo Guru Me Namo Bidaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Me Namo Bidaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Me Namo Bidaya Namo Maya Namo Sanghaya Kan den lai yin guen yin dui gan ni rai gai shu sa buen dian chun zian zi chen yin yang wo guen yin lo san se nan jie ma ne ne xie zuo zuo de ye nan ga se de be de che de la ma ye be zo ga je ai lo de le se na xin zhuan du de ba ye je ge ya zhu so xie jie xuan guan jia ye lu zhen du ge zai na ve yan yu le chan le me yan hai me ze me gu ton de me yan de la chan ze ye wen zhe ye nan goi me do che ye do me nan ze ye ja wei zhan ye de che de yan zhuan de se mai xian zhuo jie lai jie ma de kan jie do me de ma ye le ma ye jie me ge jie jie ma jie ma ra do ma so ye me de sho ye ne ye ma ra be so so ja ye me de ma de do la je che ye ma de ye lai jian jian bai la dai zai zai ba ai bian ye ran wo jian jian lai ma ai bai ye na ma ye shi gui bai la jian 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 da la zai le jian 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 ma la sai jian jian chai wai bai do zo nam yan da ve zhe yan de xian ba so yan zhuo bo la chai doi mi ya tai mi na ngo su gu la na ni xian de ma do mi no yan de ba la yo dai zo jie ni sai bi ge wa de de yang la yang do wa hu yang la yang ga bi da jie ba la jie o za yang ta ba ye yan bi yan bo yan bo sai jie shou mi yan zhe ve jie lai jian jian re xie jie mi yan bi wang bo yan bi yang du yan bo yan ma yan jian san vi yan da an jian yan bi zhuo yan zhuo yan gan ba lo yan san yan da yan bi sha yan la yan su yan wan de mi yan zhe yan bi de la jian jian re zhe jie mi yan bi wang bo jian bi de bo ma liu zhuang jie san vi yan da an jian ke yan bi zuo yan zuo gan ba lo yan da yan bi sha yan la yan su yan wa yan de mi yan zhe yan bi de la jian jian re lai de sa vi lai mai vi bo che lai so ni ga ra pe me de sho la ai de che bi bo ne che so Chan Joy Nian Be Ai Bu Tian Bar Ayo Mai Samai Je Me She Ra Ma Ro Ye Ma Ye Ma 다게 슈주른 기베 소놈 제 도로
저 선제 탑에도 도자가는 양동을 저거 사지 보고로 이제 터버샤 뒤에서도 뒤에서에 그런 상태에서 좀 선지 세단 참으시.
Let us take a moment and cultivate the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta or altruistic motivation, we should all participate in this discourse on Bodhisattva's way of life.
That senje shue di zamri de da ka peyong pe go de ba se ke da di bon jme do she da di pe go she se senji tse no bo shu mi da le le je go jen jen bo je na chen shu sen xia ra de sun se o di ka pe go she ba ka sa pe pe de ba se de la ya tu senju zi bei gu ni den ba ta tu na senju zi bei de ba de la ka se senju zi so de se ngu ji ri senju ye zi xi jiao di na mo xie de ning sang jie de se xia shang dong se sheng wu xiu de jiu ni wo de 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 zhe senju yi zi se ba se 생계 생기기 지신은 파매 고자서 매장에 율성심 매장을 사두고 쇠바 무매장에 제모라시 쳬베 류멤버데다 랑네 소리가 되니 타도 소는 자레 되베 제고르제는 다음에 그데다 중심 그게 동네단지 쪽내에 연대단 대번 주에나 생기기 지 제버지 되도 쇼스 연디 러디게네 메뉴버스 아이 숨쉬지라 데스 어디에 거기 생주스야 거기 사스 그래서 되게 그래서는 생주스야 상제기 자든지 상동 세디 줄도 그렇지 아니 자디 뭐 생주들 봐 내가 봐 자디 주라도 제시도를 대시도 뭐지 지디 주도 뭐지 어디서도 다디 돈다로 가르치는 데서 오르와 거기 저주성 무슨 아니 예자 컨디션에 되면 쉬우지 피도체 피도 자세부터 그랬어야 돼 가지 생주들 상제 자상 세서 돈 주도 오르와 디스도 토다를 되게 간제 저주성 지선 아니 예자가 또 진리를 그러셔야 되죠 어디에 제가 미잘로 저 고세야 되게 다다도 저주서 토마를 깨도서 다가제 먼저 내가 님하고 깨니 사실 밀려던 것이네 되게 저주성 군 토마 깨도 되네 먼저 수보도 대샤지는 것을 타면 그거 찍봐 리뇨가 제 샤다도 그 나지는 사기는 희지는 어디에 로자는 그 쪼고 슈지레시 이나데 저주성 이게 왔던 게 되게 사드 샤체고 주고 그랬어 저주성 뒤 뭐 이거 내다도 돼야 근데 토고 가이 말했어 뭐 지고 지요 이거 샤다 좀 파면 고잘 마통 깨되지 그게 눈에 대마치시니 되게 리뇨 셔마지를 마도 현대 요데 현대 매너 저주성 거는 깨가 애니 되게 표현들에 되게 샤고레스다 거기 표현이 되다 예다 제시부터 도다 가르데 그래서는 이 저주성 무슨 계자다 이 마스 계제 캐버를 힘으로 진짜 저주성 무슨 계자 때 전부도 보시면 저주성 계자 때 킬로 생산 때가 되지 표현 시험에도 어디까지 예다 제시부터 하지 어디시 그래서 해야 되죠.
Those of you who have this English translation of Bodhisattva Avatar called A Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life, translated by Stephen Batchelors, authored by Bodhisattva Master Shantideva. We are on page 5, stanza number 10. As you may recall, that we have been exploring and discussing the benefits of cultivating awakened mind or bodhicitta. Yeah? And stanza 10 highlights the benefits of cultivating fully awakened mind or bodhicitta in our minds through an outstanding example. And the example that's been given in this, maybe I should read the stanza first and then translate the explanation given. It is like the spring gold-making elixir, for it transforms the unclean body we have taken into the priceless jewel of a Buddha form. Therefore, firmly seize this awakening mind, unquote. So as Geshe explained, that if we have 1 ounce of what is called Gyeltsen in Tibetan, gold-making elixir, sometimes people call it philosopher's stone or something, okay, we can transform 1,000 ounces of pieces of iron into gold. Right? The irons do not change the substance of the gold, but 1 ounce of gold can transform 1,000 pieces of iron into gold and make it very valuable, just ordinary iron pieces. In the same way, if we cultivate fully awakened mind or bodhicitta within ourselves, we as an ordinary sentient being with this body of what called flesh and blood, and this body in the nature of suffering, because we get sick any time, or that this body can fail us eventually, because that's called death, we have to die. Despite all these limitations of our body, and which consists of so many other what we call unclean substances that constitute this body, if we develop fully awakened mind within ourselves, this golden elixir like bodhicitta will transform this contaminated ordinary body as if into an enlightened form. The Geshe explanation given here is that if we cultivate fully awakened mind or bodhicitta, even a little bit of virtue that we create and accumulate, it becomes a very powerful virtue, unlike any other ordinary virtues. Let's say that instead of doing 1,000 ordinary virtues, if out of bodhicitta, fully awakened mind, we just give a morsel of food to a hungry dog, that one act, it becomes much more beneficial, powerful virtue as compared to doing 1,000 ordinary virtues. So it is that beneficial, and so as we talked about this before, even as an ordinary person, sentient being with all our afflictive emotions, because our birth has been determined by contaminated karmic actions and afflictive emotions, right? We didn't choose to be this, it just is the outcome of contaminated karmic actions and afflictive emotions, and because of that, this body is in the nature of getting sick. This body can crumble eventually, called death, and this body is made out of flesh and bone, not something very solid, whatever, firm that can stay for lasting. Despite all of this weaknesses or limitations, whatever you want to call them, if we were to develop fully awakened mind or bodhicitta within ourselves, we become an object of veneration by humans and by divine beings. When we become a very valuable, priceless person, despite all our ordinary failings. Yes.
any Shukshamu, that is in the Yanzan Shagoro, what is he say? In Yangu, that they conquered Bongo Valles, dog Bongo Satil. Regular that is going to said now here already, then some jig is a Chazan said in Juro. Mucho Sarjo, then just don't go to Seva Sheva about Jadu, your Minuso said, they died. Music Sanjay, they get just out of the say by George today. She told him the just out to get 2 young ones of top session on that made the shit of a Meshuk Shava, Chibe Mail, so she should even make mail, so because top session there, there's a new don't zero, Tina Himaris. Cha they get the 2 seasons the Gaden, 2 new Maris. Party at Jogoma, you did, and the 2 chat because Charles in the Gunji de Ba, Handy Yoto, they are Maris. You did the boy phone the Rica. Taking the Tamji in the same day, Munju. Come get Yuzumo, the Yishi so much, led the new moon base, Devataji, Seba, Shade, Shetamji, Taji Chavan, you said you kato the Shaja, Taji Chavan, the same Javi, won't you come to go daily? Led the new moon base, Chatamji, Chamkuni, Number Shaw, Seva Shaw, Minusos. This is the Shauju same thing in the later Jimaba, Bibo, Gangal, Munju said John, the Joto or Bagicilla. And the Tibata, the Mega, the Shauju some the Sweet never she told Marisha. But the going top zero, measure she Maris. But the top zero, because Shauju similar to the Kadeshina never get to Maris. But the ticket showed Tracy Kersa. Taji, good humor show us, never show Minusos, good number show, good Chatavi, good number show, several show minutes here, the busy show, so similar Sugoa. The lunas said dressing, saying Hindi Teba, the Gaden, no, she was Geshe Phuntsok was that because she was a pain that just don't see you, she had a patient daddy. Shows us some go us. That shows us to 2 years somebody was getting coming to the units or that. That lunas said dressings, that said the lunas said. The Shartse in the Ludiba said you are the showers. Was Shartse was the war. Say you can do Tebata, the den no she was just that the Shartse the Government Dina Lea Bushina, Nemashina was on year, some years and I said the base of the Giden come no, I said Giden go on you were Sanji go to his or Karina.
If we wish to become a fully enlightened being, or if we would like to achieve complete enlightenment, Buddhahood, we have to accumulate tremendous amount of merit for that. And what can really help us to fulfill such amount of merit accumulation is only if we have cultivated bodhicitta, or the fully awakened mind within ourselves, and with that precious mind, even what is, seems to be very ordinary virtues, very simple, they become very powerful virtues. Because they become causes for us to achieve enlightenment. So that is the power of bodhicitta. And with bodhicitta mind, right, it almost seems like effortless to create a tremendous amount of virtues. Because any ordinary virtues you create out of bodhicitta, they become very powerful merit accumulations. And so as Geshe read through the commentary there, so there was a citation from Gandharvayu Sutras, or Dobukwe Do in Tibetan. and where this golden elixir example has been given, it is said that if we have 1 ounce of the gold making elixir, philosopher's stone, and you have 1,000 ounces of ordinary iron pieces, although the iron pieces are many more in terms of number, but they do not have the power to make the gold into something else, not gold. Whereas this 1 ounce of gold can transform all these 1,000 ounces of iron pieces into something very priceless, gold. Yeah, so like that, if we cultivate, bodhicitta, this bodhicitta can, overcome or counteract our negativities, contaminated karmic actions, and afflictive emotions. While our contaminated karmic actions, afflictive emotions are abundant in number, they are like iron pieces, But although there are many more in number, but they really do not have the power to defeat bodhicitta, overcome. On the other hand, this one thing called bodhicitta, fully awakened mind, if we cultivate it, it has the power to, overcome or to counteract, afflictive emotions. So it is that beneficial. So therefore, the lesson for us is that if we would like to conveniently accumulate, very powerful virtues leading to enlightenment, we must cultivate bodhicitta, fully awakened mind, and do the virtues with that motivation. And so that will be like eventually, we become Buddha. Once we become Buddha, right, we have an enlightened body that is marked by major and minor marks of realizations. And all of that is the outcome of cultivating bodhicitta and engaging in virtues. So the next two stanzas, stanza number 11 and 12, that Geshe read, and let me read them first and then translate some of the explanation given. Since the limitless mind of the sole guide of the world has upon thorough investigation seen its preciousness, all beings wishing to be free from worldly abodes should firmly take hold of this precious awakening mind. All other virtues are like the plantain tree, for after bearing fruit they simply perish. But the perennial tree of the awakening mind unceasingly bears fruit and therefore flourishes without end, unquote. So as Geshe explained, that if we would like to find peace, happiness, and prosperity, and the best of everything, we should cultivate a fully awakened mind or bodhicitta, because bodhicitta can result in all those good things that we would like to have. As Geshe explained, that out of bodhicitta mind, fully awakened mind, even if we give just a mouthful of like food to a needy person or a being, which is called generosity, because what has been given is very little amount, but because of the power of bodhicitta motivation, that it can produce this endless positive outcomes, that while in samsara it could produce us to have, let's say, good rebirth, or that it can bring good health, and then eventually that merit will lead us to completely enlightened state. So the bodhicitta, it really makes the virtue as a perennial, that we can always enjoy the fruits of the virtue ceaselessly, if you will. All other ordinary virtues, right, however great they are, once we have done them, accumulated them, and they produce the fruit, it's just like you enjoy the fruit one time and that's the end of the storyline. But bodhicitta and the virtues created out of bodhicitta are like a perennial tree that you kind of enjoy the fruit every year. So, the Geshe said somewhere, like, say, it's just like you have an apple tree or an orange tree, something, right? So this year there's a lot of apples and oranges, and then next year it'll again come back, right? So it's like that. If you would like to have enjoy the fruits of our virtues, while in samsara, and also once and last till we reach enlightened state, then we must cultivate fully awakened mind or bodhicitta, Changju in Tibetan, and create virtue out of that state of mind.
Tina saji dada dina da shu dina ma dada dika sin da tiba shi shu saji sadwa ini ti shaju sin da nga teni ini o de ne ya tu ti ne saji go mo to ini kharsa to ba shi shu o re si go to ti se ti re do kharsa pene tebo ke ba sa tebo ta la ke Morgan, some you want to pay over. Talake is Lord of the Neba, Shen, Lindu is summer meeting. Peasant Deba, someone remote lady, Tini, remote so no, Libertad, the long one answer. Someone remote the Jiva so Hindi. Those so tired the Tanji Talaki, Zevatimukun, Sivage dog Jedi, Kawashita in the traveling the Tini, Yondaji, Novo Bozella, Joy, Tibu, Sanjida, Tibu Sunda Beva, Chiku, Zobi Sanji, she maybe, she's a number of times, it wasn't the Chebi, Lodrung here, Mishiba Tali Joy, Yom, Pen, then Bashi, Dobar, Shevati. Doana jo ubun sejin gundu ushin gukun juwa la rindu kumi tau sho di chebe tabju rinpoche kanyin she che na la ne denji go ne lingwa yosu takwa na shangju iksen di ko na yon denji mo ne se konshin rindan shewa dan detan di Pendo Jang, Hindu Shiva Sigma, Sela Sanji, Sheda Sivala, Chuba Mingavina, Dore, Niru Togi, Dungi Nasola, Jebe, Gubatata, the Chord Dejin, Mundo the Nili, the Jashabu, La Chua, the Vanam, Geshe, Rinpoche, Ong Jivatavi, Nika, Yino Tonche, Rinjen, Chonju Senti, Tombo Libra, the Tene, Chirege, Sambe, Manya, but there was on Yijeba, so I shall share what this, or did a candidate, Sanji to the rain, go back in. 대본세가 너무 내게 손으로 대본에서 던 치는 그 몸은 야가도 단니 이게 지지 되잖아 이 상식 뒤에 백개가 더 고는 되는다 심지어 페이지를 가려서 정수선이 그런 페이지를 해야겠으니 엔도스케는 엔도송어리스 이 상식 송어들 상식이 양념 도로 송인자 인텔 농주요 말이지 그래서 현재 이셰바 섬다요 말와 어디 제대 뜻소나 저주서 된지 민지 그래서 깨터와 샤고레스 지금 거야 그래서 콜요데 대답지어리스 근데 저는 이제부터 봐 좀이제 표현 줄수 되려 되다 간도 길에서도 시신수도 길에서도 좀 찍다도 니다면도 찍셔서 나와 그래서 근데 저주서 계속 마세베 계속 간 코로나니 좀 찍 지바타는 lungi 찍 주고로 스르스르는 제가 찍 배기로 되는데 되게 좋아도 와. 그 서주선도 그런 가서 lungi는 좋아요 말이지. 어디에서 세다 가서 대배도 사지에게니 되게 냠용도 세워 될 추바요 말이지.
As Krishna explained, with example, that in ancient time, captain of the sea will lead the whole like a merchants to a distant jewel island, so such a captain not only has to have a strong wish to lead the whole merchants to the distant jewel island, but he must also be very skillful, and he should really know what he's doing, in other words, right? And with such a captain of the sea, so they will succeed to reach their destination, and once they reach there, there's all kinds of jewels, right? Some are more precious than the others. This captain of the sea knows which is the most priceless jewel, and advise them, right? Don't pick any jewel, right? But pick the best. It's there, most valuable, and then bring them home safely and fulfill all their wishes. In the same way, Buddha, completely enlightened person, has taught innumerable discourses, right? All of these things are beneficial to sentient beings, but among these many discourses, jewel-like discourses, in the present context, we are talking about Mahayana discourse or Bodhisattva's discourse, which is metaphorically speaking the best jewel discourse. Why best? Because this instruction, teaching, and discourse, if you understand and practice well, it can lead you to the complete enlightened state. There is no higher spiritual goal than that, destination. Yeah? And so Buddha is like the most experienced captain of the sea, because what Buddha has taught us, it has come out of his enlightened experience. So he has done that, been there, done that, everything, isn't it? So he could not go wrong. With his enlightened experience, he's called valid person, for lack of a better word in English. Tsema, the one who can never make any mistakes, and he will never deceive anybody, and he knows every phenomena, the omniscient mind. Yeah, so with that person as our captain of the sea, and choosing the best jewel for us, the Mahayana discourse, Bodhisattva's way of life, if we stick to that, if we determined to cultivate bodhicitta, we will be able to reach the jewel island like complete enlightened state. And so as Geshe explained before, with fully awakened mind in us, if we create any virtue which on the outside may seem very ordinary symbol, but these virtues have become the most powerful virtues, capable of leading us to the complete enlightened state. And this is like enjoying a perennial tree, right, that brings fruit every year after year, whereas any other virtues devoid of bodhicitta motivation, they produce the fruit once, like a plantain tree, like a banana tree. A banana tree gives banana only once, and then you just chop it out because it's not going to bring another one. So it's like that. Other virtues produce their results, and that's the end of the storyline. Whereas virtues created out of bodhicitta, they just keep on producing, bringing fruits over and again. And so therefore, with all those benefits in the mind, we should make up our mind to cultivate this precious, fully awakened mind. In the Gandharva Sutra, or Dompo Do in Tibetan, it is said that even though the sun and moon are very bright, with their own radiance, and they could really facilitate the growth of vegetation or harvest or whatever the case may be, but those radiance are not comparable to the radiance of this best, king of the jewels. So in the same way, we can think of how Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas, or hearers and solitary realizers, they do accumulate a lot of amazing merit. But as compared to the merit accumulated by Bodhisattva out of bodhicitta motivation, their merit is not comparable. It's just like we cannot compare the sunlight and moonlight to the amazing radiance of the most priceless jewel. In the same way, the virtues of hearers and solitary realizers are not comparable to the virtues of virtues done or accumulated through bodhicitta.
Hangwa Kone Pio Yote, Ladu Gese, Sonape, Kausu, Shaju Sen, Dodina, Sonape, Yu, Kujo, Samatore, Javi Dedate, Pena, Pui Sing, Jabana Sobane, Kam Si Suni, Number Pelo, Jabitation to So Naso Savi, Shaju Simbe, Yezo, Shaju Simgi, So ye, Tamji Chavani, the Yosugoni, Number Pelo, Sheso, Shenos, Yesosa, that was it, Taki the Chivata, Kandidi, and Shaju Sim, Jubati Karsa, did it, you are Shedat Nami, Racing Yoni. So Shedat in Shaju Sim, Nami Doha, Maris, what you formed it that get Resha. Costa. Somewhat the pen preaching Jobana Soba Nisira. Come he soon a number of fellows that come he said, Derada, such a moon. Tige go, Dige, then Nick so I can so high Jigmar, or Dige say. Car the fellows Cursa. Geshe name. Those who appear here sung by Steno Karza. Shadu go, Shaju, yes, Senji Sunji, Taji, Yosung, no be here sung by Shenos, Shido, Direta Kaji, any this Shaju Sim, Dere Kaji. Shaju Sim, Doba Songina. Muslim Kadina, and Gavakana, Gavakadamo Yajil, today. Tita the Paya, that Shanju, Sonsana, in the sort of Gia, Juma, Nilo, and that Cham de Vienna, Kesa Navi to Katachi, and the Giotic with the Shandolani, so the Gizi of Dea, conversion that was paid the worst. Would you get it in such a
So Geshe read through the commentaries. This already explained pertaining to stanza number 12, which reads again, all other virtues are like the plantain tree, for after bearing fruit they simply perish, but perennial tree of the awakening mind unceasingly bears fruit and thereby flourishes without end. So as Geshe read through the commentaries, the lines were coming from different sources such as Chom, miscellaneous collection of Buddha's teachings or Buddha's discourses, and other texts. And what is stated there is this, that any other virtues, we are not saying that if we create ordinary virtues, they are simply wasted. They do produce their positive outcomes. But then once they bring the fruit once, that's it. Okay, they cannot bring again. Whereas the virtues that we accumulate with bodhicitta or fully awakened mind, these virtues constantly produce positive outcomes or the fruits, as if. So they are like what we call wish fulfilling tree, and that exists, that lasts, so to speak, for a long time. So what are we really talking about? What kind of bodhicitta are we talking about here? Of course, maybe later on we will find the distinctions. There is what we call aspiring bodhicitta, aspiring mind of enlightenment, right? Munsem in Tibetan. And then there's the juksem, engaging bodhicitta, or venturing bodhicitta, or practical bodhicitta. How wonderful, I have all this translation here for this one thing. So there's a difference here. I think aspiring bodhicitta is very powerful and very virtuous, but I don't necessarily think that it will produce virtues constantly increase. But here we really focus on engaging bodhicitta, meaning that once you have taken bodhisattva vows and you keep them intact, as long as you keep the bodhisattva's vow intact, you really don't have to necessarily do anything big, right? You could be just napping, taking a nap, your virtues will still keep on increasing. You could be just going on a walk, nice hiking, I don't know. You could say that I didn't say hiking, but it's a walk, okay? So I include hiking there. Your virtues will increase. By the power of that engaging bodhicitta, your virtues will forever keep on increasing, and they never diminish, and they keep on producing endless, positive outcomes.
Pekoba, Shendi, Lodri Messivan, Shitty Jozo, Gave person, Tirita, but the Shitty Sasha Dazi, Shitty, Joko, Jazo, look at any go, Zanika, Shitty correct, Kalu Shashana, and the columns are going to go. She that the solution to see this. Should Jazo Jazo must have seen Maris. But he gets the solution to the Judums along the all, simply tell you to the those on two inside the all, probably Gazaga, those on Toya, Mosha,
no, so.
what did you want to do your walk? No, will walk. What is it? What did the Gaza the same by this? This was tell you, Choju Sim same sorry, she was that those are more the Jigba what is somebody shared the that pen. She did got the Shabu, gave a tie, told you, Pamator, sale me so that not tie just you know, she look and gave a task and that this was. Gave a tone to the only just going to come to that didn't talk to me. I think the Kera Judas and that Joe was shot the gig you see this was give a time to go set it. Parmoto Seva made those Parmotos and the Kere. Passa take it. The mother control Parmoto Sira. Not the Masari show doing it. They come to the tell mother she Parta to less for the Parmoto loses one way. What you can do?
No, sir. In the Sakari Mati Prijaputta Sutra, Lodi Misabedo in Tibetan, an example is given of where if we put a drop of water into the great ocean, as long as the ocean, remains, that drop of water will remain, until then. Yeah. So in the same way, if we create any virtue out of bodhicitta mind, that virtue will last right until we reach enlightened state. Yeah. And as Geshe was chuckling over this, they said like if we put a drop of water into the ocean, that ocean may remain for 100 eons, and that drop too will remain for 100 eons. Somewhere in the Buddhist literature said that after 1,000 eons the ocean will dry anyway. So by that time then that drop will dry up too. So until then it really lasts long. So it's like that. Any virtue we create out of engaging bodhicitta, enlightenment, it will keep on increasing, and it will, never get exhausted until we reach enlightened state. And so that a virtue do not get wasted in between. Right? Example is like sometimes we have a destination, then we get kind of a detour somewhere, and we kind of hang out. Not like that. The virtue created out of engaging bodhicitta do not get distracted in the middle of the thing or detour somewhere. It just keep on progressing towards the final destination, which is enlightenment.
Because Gyeltsen shows the more Nishoju, Jing Woofer, talk about this. Power the Jumba because Meadows she has never looked me say, but the boss, Dogun to the Tama, she them. Lodri Gazun Shiva, loved you, Tama, she Menjava Jungusa, the Gazasun, Ne Tamji, Gazati, let me do what you know, that is because the Gazasun said, Tama Gaza drop. Sabadi, I know Kobe, the meme, the Kobe, to the Sung Sirwa.
No.
She does Suya did Zawad with Tina, so you said you were going China. And Suya teach horses to horses.
I don't know.
We say Korea, Suya, Tarigo, or Suya.
No, so. Bodhicitta, development and preservation itself is the best way to protect our virtues and enhance our virtues. Right, and often we talk about how in the beginning we need to create and accumulate virtues. Then it's not enough to create and accumulate virtues, but we really need to preserve them, protect them. And not only we have to preserve them, but we have to enhance them, right? But if we focus on fully awakened mind generation and just keep it going, maintain, do the bodhicitta maintenance, then that maintenance itself is good enough to protect the virtues, good enough to increase or enhance the virtues.
What is it? Because the hills, del lojo dish, Geza soon del dish there. Tena simji tamba, Mungo tambe, Mazimbe, Gionani, Randi Keti, Tiran Zeratan, Tiza Simji Sibi Gezanani, Chizi Chonshu Shembur Chonshe Madaba, Mundi Jibu Jiba, Titaji, Sermon Yoas, Tardosa Tobi, John Joshin. Tene Tive Combating Joe, Shiva Shows, or Kiji Relation, Judin Jibuson, Combating Juju, Odin, Ched, Dene, Di Geza Peva, Tene, Juk Tomato, Diva Joma, Tonos. That he called the teacher, Shaju Sim Day, his God, what deposition with us as you were dear. She said, the teacher, the Yatagagas, the Sosum Gaga Tongi, Medisho Panjamia, Big Bambuka Gagan Jamia, the country Tonda of the Gaga, Mundu Gaga for Joto, what he gets is about. No, it seemed the Gavan and Daddy, no Simbas and Shaju Simbas and P. But Shaju Simbs, Shaju Simbs, those also teachers, the most of the Chinu no Carsajan language of Togo Shade of the Shara. No, she has the war mixing that the Togo will consider. He will hold the war. That must get that Jutachi charge with Chishevi, no. Togo Judaya with the daughter to war was your. A typical for Shaju Sim with Chandona Sana. And we'll call Chuzu my level. No, sir. Any virtues we create, out of engaging bodhicitta or venturing bodhicitta, so that virtue will last, until we reach a complete enlightened state for the sake of all beings. So that kind of virtue created out of engaging bodhicitta doesn't necessarily need a separate dedication, of the merit. Remember, other kinds of virtues, right in the beginning, we're careful to do our, proper motivation, and then we do the virtue, sometimes we forget to dedicate them. Well, then those virtues might get, destroyed in the middle of the things, right? But with the engaging mind, bodhicitta virtues, the dedication is already included in that. The reason why you are creating virtue is because you want to be Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings, right? So it's already included in your bodhicitta frame of mind, and so therefore that virtue will last until we reach enlightened state. As Geshe explained, bodhicitta really fulfills all our wishes as a spiritual practitioner. As a practitioner, among many things, the two things we need to do is we want to purify ourselves of all negativities. Well, bodhicitta does that, and we want to accumulate a lot of merit, right, to be able to reach enlightened state. Well, bodhicitta does it. So bodhicitta is like a what we call double action state of mind. It purifies your negativities, it accumulates merits, constantly. So therefore, it is a very beneficial state of mind that we must cultivate. That is that Shiva the Kima Pope Yeve Divasay on the Dema Setinga. That Telaterecha Corsa. Divaki the musician, Paldene, Jibashabuta, Kalatene, Yudojo, Telefazena, meeting, Kine, to dead making, Dijana, Yajigi, Yeva Sigwasi, Tie Peum. Bad Mevata, Shangula than Danby, Nosan, Chase, or the team, or Timothy did not, Kima Pota was a Teresa. Because the people Langa to was a topic because I changed to 2000 last year in Anta, Yamana, Kumasha, you in Anta, or Tita Jiwashabushina. That Bissol Tahashi, so was a Madame Langazi. And the Tilla, Nimaji Robert, the Pope, call us Chadu, you get a share of Ragna. And the Kotin Kazakhstan, Trobekil Dodo, and I told her nation, Shanamu later or 10 years or that. So you send the Yabu, yes, and that the bike Kazashi and the share of Hazusa Tado.
At the bottom of page 5, we have verse number 13 that reads, like entrusting myself to a brave man, when greatly afraid, by entrusting myself to this awakening mind, I shall be swiftly liberated. Even if I have committed extremely unbearable negativities, why then do the conscientious not devote themselves to this? As Geshe explained, this is another example, to highlight the great benefits of cultivating bodhicitta or fully awakened mind. The example given here is, like, say, if you want to have a smooth journey to your destination. Let's say you have to pass through very dangerous way. And danger could be due to like wild beast, I don't know, maybe due to robbers, maybe today gangsters or something. But if you do have the escort of a very well-trained, brave, person with all the ammunitions and skills he needs to fight anybody, then going through that dangerous path is like going to the market. You don't have to worry about anybody killing you because this person can protect you, from anything. So like that, if we have this escort like bodhicitta within ourselves, even though we are passing through the very dangerous path, in the sense that we have created so much negativities, unbelievable. Geshe didn't say the unbelievable part, I just added that one. Yeah. So it's just like walking through a very dangerous thing. We have created so many negativities, but because of the bodhicitta, we do not have to be scared of our negativities anymore. Because bodhicitta is very powerful to get rid of or to purify all our negativities. Yes.
That the shows the same game that the pet. Jibutaba Polo, but David shows you about your nature. Never give data means so here the Doboko legend, read with that pen, Paul Tembe, many data means so. Teach you shows you about Tabi in the same year. Paul Temba young, Chevan and Base, data means so here so, what they Karsa. Then so subjects are that the public tells you when we were going in a Choju Simki and the Tia Choju Sim Domato Loriana in the Java Nyambatu Gangan Jimas. Choju Simba said the senior that is so you go to the Simki with the Simki no they go about Fede do in the Jolum Yamba Yungmarwa. With the Jolum Yamba, but the Jito Morisi said that.
So as the example given here, maybe in modern language, if you have the escort of your personal best trained bodyguard in the world, well, you don't have to be scared of anything to go to your destination or journey to your destination. In the same way, with the engaged bodhicitta mind, that we will find ourselves constantly forever purifying negativities and forever increasing virtues. So therefore, with that state of mind, we will never do anything negative to hurt others or anything like that, because whole thing we care about is how to benefit sentient beings. Yes.
What is it? Karsha. Penapo the Casa Bisheso didn't Majid dress a passive se pasi san ye jang dong ba zang ja sun gu do zang le nia le tawa hi ba pudong song so sa da lo yu jang de ba da yo ma je de su ji yin bo se dong har su ji bo se en san ye ya dong ya shai den lang bo se nyom bo be se ke je bo de de ba hi bo sa de ba hi bo sa na ko de yo tu sem so jo da ne yo ko yin de yeah, no, tali pulling double na he will get more so. Pulling is so, and yeah, the door because I be after changing, not only.
No, so. So the power of Bodhisattva in purifying negative is such that in this story of the ancient India king what is Ajatasattu, right? Who killed his father, because of power hungry. But then when he later met with Buddha and he confessed completely, it is said after his death, it is as if he just kind of, went just to the hell and just got out really fast. It's just like he just almost like just dropped by to the hell, what's happening there, and just came out. So that's because of the power of strong confession and great virtues.
No, because they think the single Shambhaji so they Japanese tell a machine to Jimmy here the desert and machine simply Shirad Tay, Momona Jimmy the she shed this, pay shell, dollar, then Mihim. Since Mongona Jimmy Dishi told the Kevetaji Bombay John, then he was a Del Pazena Jimmy the Talker on the dinner, Del Pazena Jimmy the Sergio, the Jabet Kagel, Del Pazens Malabshe, the Michijo, Parmes and the Duo, Del Parmes Jimmy the Tasha. Lozo hida zonu hida menge de dengu de yao so ko chikya de kalen sha dozon to ma se ko se de kya de toda se bu chu do gorwa se de me jira nge so de so se ge o de so de cha ke da ti ko sho hin de se da me lo de ba za ko kai no me kaza ka de ge da de pa na shingro ta kai me shing ge ji lo ba to na in Shartse you were together and go call it a jam. In Dividend, I got it told to us. You said, Jabet the Kayla, that the Pazena is with the say teacher, machines that are permanent with the Jibata. So, however, the day you take her Cocaine, those who have a said this. So the last, line of the stanza number 13, which reads in this translation as, why then do the consciences not devote themselves to this? So the Tibetan word is pakchen, means those who are very conscientious or those who are very vigilant, if you will. But in the commentary, they also kind of said it could also means like those who are not so conscientious in some sense, And the Geshe was kind of chuckling over this. The explanation given is that intelligent people, let's say, they can find many hundred ways to accumulate merit or to purify negativities, things like that, because they are very smart and intelligent, right? But here the sense is as if, those who are not so smart but not so like, kind of bit of lazy, you don't want to do too many things. You just sense, okay, let me do only one thing and that's it, I can handle, right? If you have that state of mind, why don't you, or why don't we, generate bodhicitta? Once we have generated it, you just can't be lazy still. The bodhicitta itself does things for you. It purifies your negativities, it enhances your virtues, right? So you become enthusiastic to cultivate bodhicitta alone, and that's only one thing you can handle. And then once it really arises in your mind, it does wonders for you. So it is as if like this is a recommendation for the lazy people, right? If you just do only one thing, why don't you cultivate bodhicitta? And then once you have it, it'll do miracles for you, What is that? Didn't Jibun Jibul do us? ngồi tiền tí số là sẽ giúp được ba sẽ cái này sao rồi bắt đầu sẽ cái về niệm thì sẽ về tiền đó sẽ ở tiền ta khai sáng nó được ba sao đó chỉ đó sẽ na anh trong chỗ đó sinh cái nghe tiền đó sẽ rồi thì sẽ na cặp giao được trong chỗ sinh cái thì nhưng mà con chỉ là to là đâu có sao rồi sau đó sẽ xuất sắc một người ta trong chỗ xuất sắc một người nó anh có đi qua thằng người sao rồi thì sẽ ta những cái gì rồi sẽ đi xem ta sẽ ta đi ta nè sinh từ khởi tiền thì tí số thằng nào đi khởi tiền rồi đi qua cho một chiều rồi tí số là anh khởi sa đi qua rồi ngồi tiền thì tí số là giúp đi qua sẽ cái này sẽ sau rồi đi qua cho một chiều tiền rồi thì có gì có xem thì nhưng mà con chỉ to rest thế ta thế này ta ngã ba đi ngã ba thì thế mình bị mang về đi qua thùng nhìn xem bữa thế mà nè thì này thì thế so thế số xem thì cái bao nhiêu thì mình nhưng mà đi xe mình sang thế đâu mình chỉ này ta thì thế đâu đâu vừa xem bao nhiêu thì cái nhớ rồi đừng nghe mình xem ba cái này bị đi qua xem bao năm chẳng cái gì cái nghe bao thế đâu mà sao xem bao nhiêu gì nằm sao anh chọn bao nhiêu number na thế là phát hiện là chỉ mấy tiền xem xem thế là mình chỉ cho số đấy ya jaros Geshe thì ngôn ngữ xem bao số là số về đồ nghe chỉ đi qua xem bao sự vật chỉ sống rồi thế ta nó tôi bảo cô là nhiều vật tham gia sự việc cái mấy tao bảo mấy cái chuyện tham gia thì chuyện tham gia nếu mà chỉ về sai ở tao bảo chuyện rồi thế tao đi sẽ giúp đi qua xe này chỉ bảo tao ngồi thì nó thi số là chỉ muốn làm mình sao nên cho bảo thế đó để giờ Geshe bên giờ vào ngay chỉ như mình đi về Geshe thì nó mà sẽ cái nó bảo rằng đi sao nên cho bảo người mà sống là chế vào thế ta sống như mà sinh như con thì phải ta phải cho con thì chơi phát thôi bé sẽ Geshe gì yên sống thì yên sống để thế ta nên yên bu người mà chịu dùng con cho gọi là Gele chẳng chi mê cao số sẽ anh suy nghĩ thôi về cái gì cái nghe bác sĩ bác sĩ chỉ xong là phiền đến cái suy nghĩ thôi bác sĩ sẽ để tất cả chẳng nhiệm vụ chấp hành là sao bảo sẽ những người cái đi qua sẽ nó bảo bé ngắm đó mà nghe đi qua sẽ nên chỉ bảo bé chi mê tiền sẽ vào cái gì cái xong thì thế cho nên những người cái lên như vậy chúng nó mà nghe bắt đầu chỉ về hiểu thế nên sao chỉ cho cái mà bảo cái là thế này nhớ điều sẽ cái nó về hiểu số xong được ba thế nên chúng ta đi về ngồi này thế chấp vào chúng anh em bảo đưa rồi là thì chấp vào em nên mình sao này mình ta bảo điều của số để ta này đi vào tôi chỉ xin mình ta thì đi cái đi đây ra cái đi vào chúng sẽ chúng ta sao chúng sẽ rồi ya sẽ cái nó sẽ được thì mà mua đồ sẽ cái nó sẽ thì sẽ ta thì sẽ rồi những người lấy sẽ chỉ ra sang lấy thì nó bây giờ đồng mà đồng này mà chung đồng rồi ta sao mà chỉ bảo sẽ thì chỉ mang về lấy na em có sao chúng đủ rồi sẽ đi thích gì khai na sao chúng sẽ khai na sẽ cái东西都thích都有嘛的熊家里宿舍就要找你把全部都那才给弄着从这找chúng đủ rồi吧有有嘛的
So as we said, that the bodhicitta, it's like a double action. state of mind that purifies us of our negativities, but that also enhances and increases our merit or virtues. And so, the relation with the purification, right? Usually we talk about the applying 4 powers, Topshi, to purify our negativities. And so, when we go through the list of 4 powers, the first one is called the power of reliance, Tenyitov. So usually we talk about going for refuge, Kyamdo, and generating bodhicitta, Semje, as part of the power of reliance, isn't it? But here in the commentary they said that cultivating bodhicitta and going for refuge could also be included in the power of applying antidotes. So it belongs to both categories. It's not necessarily be part of one of the powers, because with bodhicitta we can purify a lot of our negativities. And then the commentary goes into talking about what does this purification mean, or destroying negativities, if that's the word we use. What does that purification or destroying mean, negativities? Does it mean uprooting the negativities for good, or does it mean simply overcoming the negativities? Siljineba. Right? Siljineba means to overcome. And the Tsawara means uproot it, knock it out completely. So as Gyeltsen explained, based upon the commentary, that when we think in terms of certain karmic actions which are so strong, and almost like definitely you have experienced them, the bodhicitta, it works in the sense of overcoming your negativity, means that it almost purifies that negativity, not completely in a sense, maybe it has been reduced to the minuscule size that you experience a little bit but not completely. But in the case of certain karmas, which we call uncertain karmas, mangebele, meaning that you have accumulated karma that you have not done. I know you will have questions later. Sala majeba, karmas accumulated, karmas not done. So in that kind of karma, the bodhicitta can completely uproot those negative karmas. Uproot means knock them up completely. So there are different meanings of what does purification or destruction of negativities mean. Uprooting in some sense and overcoming in another sense. Sala macha bade mange bele cha de roge.
La sal mange le sa.
Mange se ta dibu chime ngeba yo marwa.
O ta dibu ti ko na mi yo ngeba yo mar.
No so.
O ti se.
No so.
Maja na si ko ta ya. Sha na de kar na shiza sa na ta ro ko nyu maro.
La de.
Ta ko sha ya na si ko ta.
Ala no so.
shiza sa le de ko shadum chi me na. Shadum chi ya de ko ru jo me na ko dibu chi me mi go ro.
La de.
Ta shiza ma sa de ko i chi me dibu me ngeba yo maro. Ko te he da ma sa na ko zo to le do.
Ala no so. The reason why we are really dealing with all these clarifications is because in the text, sometimes we find with certain stanza, the word siljinaba means overcoming is used, right? At other times it is uprooting, sawana jomba, right? Knock it off completely. So that's why the difference between those things are explained in this commentary. And earlier we mentioned about how there are different types of karmas. Karmas that you are definitely going to experience. That's the name of the karma. Okay, I know it's a whole sentence I'm using in English. In Tibetan, it's not a whole sentence. It's just a label. Nyora means a karma that you're sure to experience. Of course, provided that you don't purify it. That's the understanding. Okay. So, what kind of karma is this? This is the kind of karma where, from the beginning to the end of the karma, all the factors are complete. Right? You do it with, the motivation. And then you do it really, the actual action, and complete it, and then you conclude it completely. So that kind of karma, good or bad, in this case we are talking about negative karma, so which means you do the negative karma with the strongest negative motivation you have, and then you do it as best and lovingly as you want to, as passionately you do it, and then you conclude it like magnificently. So that's a complete karma, we call it. So that kind of a karma, provided that we don't purify it, right? If we just let it be, it is sure to ripen. So it's a karma that is definitely going to be experienced. That's one category of karma. Okay? So bodhicitta could help us to kind of reduce the intensity of this karma. Okay, overcome. Not necessarily mean completely knock it off, but it helps us to reduce the intensity, the degree of this karma. That's it. Now there is a karma that is not certain to be experienced. Mangebe karma, right? What kind of karma is this? That in our mind we have the motivation to do it, but actually we don't carry it out in actual action, right? You want to do something negative, but you don't really do it. So in this case, you have accumulated the karma because of the motivation, but you have not done the karma. You did not engage in that action, right? That's another category of karma. Karma accumulated, but not performed or not done. Okay? So this karma is not sure to be produce the result. Why not sure? Is that unless it meets with some favorable conditioning factors, this karma may not ripen its results. Okay? So that kind of a karma could completely be uprooted by the bodhicitta. Bodhicitta can completely uproot that negative karma. So now we have kind of explained the distinction between karmas which are certain to be experienced, in Tibetan, those who are watching for Tibetan words, and mangebele, uncertain karmas, meaning you have the motivation to do it, but you didn't do the action actually. So it is a case of accumulated karma, but not performed. And this kind of karma can be uprooted, negative karma uprooted by the bodhicitta mind.
이집에 남이 연구에서 연구물이 고마샤는 레디에는 디바이는 키 남이 연구를 요하는 거기 코는 좀에는 코남이 지금 드레까지 뭐 이집이 코를 저거를 계자 말이스 어떻습니다. 레께 맞아 쉬면서 돼 어디 님뭐 마데스 그 뭐지 쉬면서 해야 님뭐 마데는 코 남이 저지를 뭐 님고 요하 코를 좀 뭐도 뭐가 또 이샤나 에는 코 저기 Naming Jing Marva. Toki Shabata is you lake Damiata Yota Sumbi, Dami young Dabo Sumbi shows. Then there is a Tibashaboshina, Diva Yinjela, the Ganda Tagaya is Tagayan in Divaris. Kadum to Drizim there. Diva Tagayan and Ganzo Tada, Sangi Tagata at Fashu, Mulism land of Morrison.
No, so.
Oh, tickets at you are.
No, so.
The device you are what I the science and you are your oh, this is the tickets at this or the race.
No, so.
But that's Java, you are given this and then you some to sheets and it is even you are Shada.
No, so.
Shana Tari.
No, so.
Oh, tickets are here. That didn't know the easy. Yambu Mazum Natin, you told me, you mean Marisira. Charleston, you do Chemo, Radio Gary, Obashe, Charleston, Mayo, Nyoton, Sumba, Tabini, Chanju, some Tongu Joba in Bashe, Dosa, Geshe to Leshiba Shibis Sumba. Main Siena, Shanju Gaging Marie, Sonu Soja, Nankanya Bashibi, Tita, no the Shibi, Jasul Lenza, Sanjay Bay, Peter, Mimum Shed, Yambu Show, Domdi Segi, Nene, Jibiki, never worship, Siva Yimbi, never be Jeda. You know, Minji Jabba. Jumsi Tabival Gula, that way, Nibu Madisa Jibata. Jimmy shows you same J, Digwa Tamji, Jenny, Taji in Bay, Migavas, Tuna, Kajiki, the Da, Yuan, Manava go, Yuan, Yambo, Konija, Gabi, Shema, Miriba, Didendos. Oh, that is Shidama said. Shidama said, in some years or the year related to the Kazakhstan, Namiman Thai, Maris, Seati, Mandivati, the dogs who think do so. Or the some years or Thai or is. But the Kajita told you the Kajis and the Kaji, no one never let the Mangil Seachi, no one ever let them, no one let Seachi, in Sad ship, Shiza, said Geshe. The concept of Shida Shiza later Numi Laser, some Jews, some Joata, Joa, some Sugar, Jomu Josana, and Shiza Sanli, Jomu Joso Mazana, and Shiza Mazan later, Geshe Grace. So the Geshe to the Karshida, Diva Gagasha, your race, the Shah made the Vatan your Marista, other than Tisha.
So we just now talk about distinctions between actions which are sure to be experienced. Okay, so let maybe just because I have to repeat the whole sentence too much. Like let's call them definitive actions. Okay, maybe that works at least. So what kind of actions are these? As Geshe explained, these are complete actions. In this context, we are talking about negativities, right? That it works same for the positive too. Yeah, that. An action which is complete from the motivation, the beginning with the motivation, in the actual action, and then the conclusion. Okay, if all those three are complete, that action, good or bad, is called action, whose result is certain to be experienced. Okay, so that's kind. And so according to Vaibhasika school of thought, Chedamawa in Tibetan, they said there are certain actions that you can never purify. And they talk about the 5 heinous negativities of how boundless, my footnote, patricide, killing mom and dad, that one, right? That karma can never be purified by any practice, according to Vaibhasika school of thought. Once you have done it, sorry to say, you're screwed up completely. You cannot do anything with that. Yeah. But Mahayana perspective differs from that. Mahayana say, however bad and serious a negativity is, it can be purified. There is no negativity that cannot be purified. That's a Mahayana standpoint. Differs from Vaibhasika school of thought. Even those like boundless negativities, killing your mom, dad, or shedding the blood from the Buddha, that even serious negativity can be purified through practice. Yeah. So when we say that karmic actions which are certain to bring results, what we mean is that in the case of negativities, if you don't apply any antidotes to them, let it be, then they are sure to bring the results. But if you do purify them, well, then that could be intercepted. Okay, they could still be purified according to Mahayanist perspective. In the case of positive actions, when the actions are complete from the motivation to the action to the conclusion, provided that they are not destroyed by anger or something like that, they will certainly bring the results. But if they get destroyed by anger, well, then there's another storyline. Now, actions which are not certain to bring fruits, mangebele, or non-definitive actions, karmic or indefinite karmic actions, whichever way you want to say it, these are the actions where one of the three elements is incomplete. Either there's a motivation but not the actual action or the conclusion. Okay? So this kind of action is something that we accumulate but we have not performed it necessarily. So therefore this action may not necessarily produce its result. So it's called uncertain actions. Okay? So we will stop there today, and we will yield to your questions there. Stanza 14. Okay. So there are no questions, Keshala says, from there. You have a question? No. Okay. Then I have an announcement to make. Today at 3 in the afternoon, so our two monks, they will do the ritual to dissolve Vajrayogini Sun Mandala at 3. Okay, so they're going to do the dissolution of the mandala. If you want to join this live stream, then so you're welcome to do that. Yeah. Kange lo de nyen den de nyen da nam da rab se ben chin yen deng gun chi xian si chen ni je to ba le ba kang da se be zhen ra ma ri men dong dong ye yi se lo zo gun la bo je da ze yan la zhu ju yang lu da che zhuo nian mo nian lo le ye chang zhuo zhen ze Mare Munze Dune Nyugu Chinye Chunze Radi Dene Daji Saju Tauzen Yende Lunzo Geshe Du Juda Juda Juni Jende Da Jambe Yang Lan De Marabaza Na Amarabaza na de zenden köye kenra vese tali temo minba kada denje shunlu loba ye roje bo zendo ze loje jiashi yuzhong beba de kesan pongwe chudo minba Tenpa Zinla Wangdo Gechebe Changnian Shogun So Wangde Changzhu Simzhu Rinpoche Maje Panan Geju Dewa Nyamba Meba Gongne Gongdong Pewa Sho Tongni Dawa Rinpoche Maje Panan Geju Dewa Nyamba Meba Yang Gong Dewa Zho Sa Shi Pe Jin Ju Xin Men Do Zhang Men Ri Rao Ning Xi Nin De Yin Ba Sang Jie Xin Do Mi De Wu Lu Gen Nang Da Xin Lan Zhen Ba Shou Kang Ri Ra Wei Guo Wei Xin Gam De Pen Dang Dewa Ma Lu Zhong Jere Sin Wang Tenzin Dorjee Shabe Side Tenju Ji Idang Guru Rana Daya Men Kyawa Gundo Yangda Lama Dan Leme Chege Bela Longzhe Sada Lamje Yunden Rabzo Nen Dorjee Change Goba Nyulu